Everyone, my name is Vlada Bortnik, and I am CEO and founder of Marco Polo. It's an app for helping people feel close. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about how we got started and also answer the question of how is it that I'm able to run a startup and be a mom of two little girls. So the way we got started is my husband and I started the company back in 2012. We actually started thinking about it back in 2011 when my first daughter was born and I was pregnant with our second one. My kids are really close in age. And we were really trying to figure out how we're going to model for our kids what it's like to work on something that's really meaningful, something that's more than just a paycheck, because we wanted to model for them what kind of life we wanted them to have. And so for us, it came down to what is it that's personally meaningful to us? What is it something can make a really big difference in the world? And how can we work on it every day feeling really joyful? So at the time, because my kids were really little, we were trying to figure out how to stay in touch with our family. My husband's family was spread across Europe. My family is across the US. And so staying in touch was really difficult. We tried to make it work. We would have video calls, be like 1 hour with his mom, 1 hour with his dad, an hour with my sister, an hour with his brother. And before we knew it, our weekends were just packed. And this thing that was meant to bring us closer together actually ended up being something that I started to resent on the weekends. Because, there's only so many times I can ask my daughter to say moo. And, by the time we were done doing the calls, it was time for their nap. So really, I was tied to the house without being able to get out. And at the same time, he and I were also doing research on happiness. He and I both have engineering background, and we thought that if we just devour happiness research, then we can somehow engineer happy kids. And one thing that came up over and over is just how important having really meaningful relationships is to your happiness. So putting the two and two together, we've started on this purpose of helping people feel close. Before we knew exactly what it is that we want to do, the purpose was born. And so fast forward to today, the company's purpose has always been the same. We've iterated 9 different times until we finally got to Marco Polo. And Marco Polo is the first thing that really, that we believe can live up to its purpose. And what we're hearing from everybody who uses Marco Polo does live up to its purpose and has this ability to make a really big positive impact on the world. And specifically today, when I think about all of this connection that's happening in the world, Marco Polo has a chance to really help heal and help reconnect people in a really meaningful way. So that's a little bit about the company. And what Marco Polo is, let me tell you about that. It's, I guess the one-line summary would be it's a video chat for busy people. But really what it is, and the way it works, it's turn-based talking. You talk when you have time. So for me, it's in the morning as I'm getting ready or when I'm doing kid drop-offs. And if my family or my close girlfriends have time, they end up, or somehow magically the schedules overlapped, they can watch live as I'm talking. But if not, it's not a problem. Everything gets recorded and they can watch on their time. In between their meals and in between meetings and as they're chopping up their vegetables. And so we end up having this really wonderful face-to-face spontaneous run-ins throughout the day. And we end up sharing like our real life together in a way that feels completely effortless. And people usually describe it as, magical or life-changing. So that's a bit about Marco Polo. And the thing that I want to bring up today is, there's not that many moms who are also running a startup. And so I get asked a lot, how is it that I'm doing it? And so I want to share with you how I think about it. And there's 4 pieces, what I'm calling them. The first thing is when you decide you want to work on something, the first thing that is really, really important is passion. Because unless you're really passionate about it, it's not something that's really going to motivate you through all the ups and downs. So for me, working on Marco Polo was something that the purpose was so meaningful to me personally, and it's something that's so meaningful to the world that no matter how high the highs are, how low the lows are, I'm still motivated and excited and energized to get out of bed every day and dedicate my life and my energy to working on this. And that's something that's really important, because any venture that you start, chances are, it's a crazy idea and chances are it's not going to work. So you have to be really passionate to want to keep working on this. And then the second thing I would say that's really important is priorities. There's so many things that you juggle, as you know. um, just being a mom and a working mom, and on top of it being having a company, there's something that always needs your attention. And so trying to figure out what are the things that are really important in your life and not compromise on that is really important. So for example, for me, it's really important to have home cooked meals. So every day I set away 30 minutes, and all my home cooked meals are 30 minutes long. And I have my repeat recipes that I do every week that are easy, but it's important for me that we have dinner together as a family, and it's a way for me to share my love with the family. Another thing that's really important for me is that I see my parents on a regular basis. So I schedule that in. So the point is that figure out what is it that's really important to you and make time to do that. And be really mindful about that, because otherwise it's easy to be stuck and just doing what the next thing to do and get caught up in the joy of checking things off without really thinking about, is it the thing that you actually want to be spending your time on? Also with priorities, the other thing to think about is, what are the things that you are not the one who has to be doing? So as I mentioned, cooking for me, it's a way for me to show my love to the family, and something that's important to me. So instead of going out to eat or getting a cooked meal delivered, I choose to spend my time cooking. I don't feel it's important for me to clean a house, so I do splurge and have somebody who helps me clean the house. The other thing that's not important to me is having fancy clothes or driving a fancy car. So I often choose to spend my money on ways that I can save my time, so that I can focus my time on spending time on things that really matter, like my family and the company. So I think the other thing that I hear quite a lot is, if you're a founder, doesn't mean that, and especially if you're a CEO, doesn't mean that you don't get to spend time with your kids. And again, it goes back to priorities. It's about being mindful about the time that you do have, because it's definitely not unlimited resource for anybody. So I carve out time that I spend with my kids, and during that time, I put away my phone, I put away my laptop, and I'm really focused on them. So for example, for me, Saturday is that day that I spend with the family. We decide what we do as a family together, and I'm focused on spending time with them. Dinner time until bedtime is also time with the family, where I put away my phone and I'm again focused on the kids. So again, it's figuring out what are the priorities for you, how much time is needed. When my kids were really little, I needed to spend more time with them. I wanted to spend more time with them. Now there's times when, me spending time with them might not be the best thing. It might be better for them to spend time with each other and learn how to negotiate things with each other, or investing more time in them having play dates so they can develop more of those social skills. But the point is to really be mindful about it, instead of saying I have to be spending this much time every day with my kids, otherwise somehow I'm not living up to mom expectations or something like that. And the thing that I will say, I think, is the hardest part in this whole prioritization thing is figuring out how to prioritize me. I think that's a thing that I still struggle with the most, because it's so easy for me to just, stay up a little bit longer, skip out working out, skip lunch, doing things like that, or even silly things like pay many hours or something like that. So that's when I really struggle. And the thing that's been helpful for me is getting my network bought into what's important to me and helping me keep me accountable. So for example, I set an intention of going to yoga on Thursdays during lunch, and my husband sometimes has to walk me to my class to make sure I actually go do it. But having his support is one way that I try to prioritize myself, and and reminding myself that I am setting an example for my kids has been helpful as well. But it's definitely a really hard one for me. Okay, the next part of peace is people. And this one is, perhaps it's obvious, but I would say that when you start a company, um, it's important to surround yourself with people who are really supportive. And it's important to invest in those relationships. Because, as I mentioned before, starting a company means there's lots of ups and downs. You fundamentally are doing something that hasn't been done before, something new, and you need all the support that you can get from it. And it's not just, and it really ranges everything from like just support, like emotional support when the deal you were truly trying to get, or in our case, like with all the pivots, like there's times when we thought it was a really great idea and then nobody was using it, and just coming to terms with that. So you need people in your life saying like, you got this, keep going, you believe in this. So that kind of friend and network is really important. But also it's good to surround yourself with people who will just support you, like literally, meaning there are times when there are events at my kids' school and they ask for parents to come during the day, and that's something that's really hard for me to do. Luckily, I have some mom friends in the school who will say, I'll take your kids. And that's that's a true blessing for me, that I was able to have friends like that. Having people around you, like in my case also my parents, there's times when, especially because I'm running this company with my husband, there are times when both of us need to be gone in the evening. And so having somebody who can take our kids and watch them overnight is really a wonderful support, that if you don't have your family around, having friends or a sitter who can do that can be really, really beneficial. So I would say people really matter quite a lot here. And then the last thing I would say in the piece is partnership. And the thing I would say is that having the right partner along this journey with you is, I would say, it's definitely one of the P's, but it might be one of the more critical P's, because we can really collaborate and do things together. He's my partner in every possible way. Not only does he push me to think bigger, to dream bigger, but he's also there when I need to go take a meeting. He is watching the kids. When we are brainstorming together, he's there for me as well. When somebody needs to take the dishes out, his job is that. So having a partner who can really be a partner for you, both in your house, but also in your life, and in your company, is something that's really important. So even if you're not starting a company with your partner, having a partner who can take on some of the workload that you do at home is really a huge relief. So I hope that was helpful. You can always find me on Instagram at Vlada Bortnik, or Twitter, and I'm always very, very excited, and not just excited, I look forward to hearing from all of you. So please do reach out. I'd love to see more women, and especially moms, starting companies and dreaming big, and would love to help in any way that I can. Thanks so much for listening.